Next, health professionals should provide education about how to avoid and mitigate dietary carcinogenic factors. It's best to reduce or avoid red, processed, grilled, fried, broiled, or charred meat, and alcohol. Consumption of red meat during high school is associated with higher risk of breast cancer. Substitution with poultry, fish, legumes, nuts lowered the risk by 19%. Red meat is also associated with colorectal cancer. It may increase prostate and pancreatic cancer as well. Processed meat increases stomach and colorectal cancer. It may increase esophageal cancer. Alcohol increases breast, esophageal, gastric, liver, stomach, colorectal cancer, among others. These are all presented by McCullough and colleagues, 2018. A high intake of red meat increases risk of colorectal cancer by 28 to 35%. High intake of processed meat increased risk by 20 to 40% of colorectal cancer. Alcohol contains carcinogenic N-nitrosamines. All right, these N-nitroso compounds that are also found in meat, even at low concentrations, can be harmful. In fact, a long-term intake of low concentrations of N-nitroso compounds has a stronger carcinogenic effect. Cantor and colleagues pointed out in 2018. Then a short-term high exposure. This suggests that it's better to eliminate processed red meat and beer from the diet rather than simply reduce intake. And an example is with a little bit of nitrate in the water, as well as just 30 grams or more of average daily intake of processed meat, the stomach cancer overall risk doubled. Clinton and colleagues in 2017 pointed out that meat becomes carcinogenic when cooked at high temperatures. They also added that alcohol increases colon cancer, and there's a direct relationship between daily intake and breast cancer. Just one serving increases the relative risk of breast cancer by 40%. 3 servings doubles the risk of breast cancer. Next, I mentioned synergistic effects and multiplicative effects. Alcohol and other liver cancer factors, hepatitis B, HCV, aflatoxin, being overweight, they show synergy, all right? They multiply. Salt preserved foods, so processing, it's associated with gastric cancer. According to Rumge and colleagues, 2021, in the Lancet Oncology, they explained that alcohol consumption causes oral, pharyngeal, laryngeal, esophageal, breast, colorectal cancer, as well as hepatocellular carcinoma, liver cancer. According to the World Health Organization, 2013, health education is vital to prevent harmful use of alcohol and to protect children from the adverse effects of marketing. All right. Consumption of salt, sugar, animal fat, preservatives need to be reduced. Aflatoxin refers to a fungal contamination in cereals, wheat, corn, nuts, eggs. One way to get around this is to discard anything that might look discolored, might have an off taste, and also to buy major brands because there are standards which prevent and help treat. Unfortunately, the aflatoxin has been spread during storage, transportation, as well as in collection. And so it's a worldwide problem. It's very difficult to address. The recommendation to reduce consumption of sugar, by the way, it includes artificial sweeteners, especially processed sugar. But yeah, artificial sweeteners, for example, aspartame, acesulfame K, they were associated with increased overall cancer risk. All right, 13% increased cancer risk. Aspartame intake increased the risk of breast cancer and obesity-related cancer by breast 20%, 22%, sorry, and overall cancer, obesity-related 15%. Okay, so those artificial sweeteners do not help avoid the risk. Next, the comment to recommend clean water, all right, filtered water, bottled water, because arsenic and disinfection byproducts, radioactive contaminants can be in water, especially in well water. And this has been a problem, especially arsenic. So boiling won't get that metal out. Filtering is the way to go, and there are various technologies that help with the filtering to help it come out of the water. Disinfection byproducts includes halides, chloros, like chlorine, bromo, iodo, nitrosamines, and aldehydes. So exposure can include ingestion, dermal absorption. That was like I said, taking a shower, and inhalation. The numbers regarding that, by the way. So for having ever consumed chlorinated water, 20% increase in bladder and colorectal cancer. For long-term intake of chlorinated water, 40% increase. For those who are more often using chlorinated water for their showering and bathing, overall risk of bladder cancer, more than double. All right, so it is becoming clear that chlorine is a problem. All right. Filter it out. I mean, we're not saying to stop using it at all, but be aware, you know, there's filters that can be put on shower head to help prevent. Okay, so arsenic, I mentioned before. What's interesting is that there's a synergy with lung, liver, other forms of cancer, and millions, because of unregulated private wells, millions are being exposed in the US, for example, according to Cantor and colleagues. So the methods that are possible, there is reverse osmosis, microfiltration, ion exchange. There's also coagulation with iron salts and filtration. Okay, so changing the water source does help, and this has been implemented successfully as far as social action projects. Individuals can also make these kind of efforts to make an improvement in their intake. Nitrates from fertilizers, those N-nitroso compounds, they are potent carcinogens at multiple organ sites. So 5% of the nitrate intake, all right, so we're taking it in various ways. For example, in our food, 5% of whatever we're intaking, it is converted into the harmful nitrosamines and nitrosamines. Okay, so a few numbers. 11 milligrams per liter of nitrate is associated with an overall increased risk of childhood brain tumor and colorectal cancer, 50%. 1.5 milligrams per liter of nitrite, all right, nitrite is NO2, nitrate NO3. Nitrite, 1.5 milligrams per liter increases the risk of childhood brain tumor by more than 5 times. Okay, bladder cancer is also increased with nitrate intake of just 5 milligrams per liter for 4 years, 60% increase in bladder cancer, as well as 54% increase in liver cancer. With 5 years of 5 milligram per liter nitrate intake, thyroid cancer, 250% risk. Okay, so an increase of over 150%. Next, beyond these risks with liver damage due to nitrite, there's also cyanobacteria. Now, there's another synergistic effect with cyanobacteria. Hepatocellular carcinoma is known to increase by about 550% because of hepatitis B virus. Drinking water infected by cyanobacteria also increases by about 75%. So what we find in this multiplication example, 1.75 times 6.5, it's pretty much exactly what we have, the data they found. When people have hepatitis B and are consuming the groundwater, their overall risk of liver cancer, hepatocellular carcinoma, more than 11 times, 11.4 times the risk, overall risk. Okay, there's a synergy. These factors multiply. Okay, and there's also chemicals, for example, in the production of Teflon and Gore-Tex, non-stick cookware, which we love, but those chemicals, when they go into the water, they harm children, they harm females, they harm people. The increase in kidney cancer is dose related by the quartiles. All right, so second quartile, 23% increase in kidney cancer, 48% at the third, and the highest quartile, 58% increase in risk of kidney cancer. Testicular cancer got up to over 3 times the risk with the highest quartile. Okay, and there's also risk of leukemia, also over 3 times due to prenatal female exposure. Beyond the suggestion to soak or boil vegetables with saline, there's also a suggestion to use a mixture of vinegar, baking soda, and lemon. 2% saline is suggested for rinsing, 2% salt in water. But yeah, a mixture with 0.1% baking soda. All right, 4% acetic acid plus a lemon turned out to be slightly better. That was thanks to Reddy and colleagues in 2020. There's an addiction called areca nut. It is actually quite prevalent in the world. Many people, just like the early days of smoking, perhaps, they're not aware of the harm and the danger. It conveys a pleasant feeling, but it is quite well related to oral cancer, laryngeal. It increases the, well, I should say, it alters the pH, becoming acidic, I guess I should say, decreases. But it causes inflammation, okay? And beyond those upper cancers, it's also related to cancers of liver, pancreas, lung cancer as well. There's even reports of stomach and cervix cancer related to the areca nut. That's thanks to Pankaj 2010. Okay, last comment there about a cautionary note regarding milk and cheese. So there is a positive association between cheese consumption and the level of fat in the milk consumed, breast cancer. All right. We're going to see later that yogurt does not have this stigma, okay? But milk, there's caution. People should be advised to have caution regarding possible dietary carcinogens.